Hello, welcome to One Pint, One Song. My name's Elliot Porter, and this is the show where we chat to a musician every week, a songwriter, and we have a pint with them. And we talk about one song which they've written and one song which is written by someone else, which they absolutely love. And we kind of delve into their influences and see kind of how they are as well. So this will be going out on Facebook, YouTube, and for anyone listening afterwards, this is an audio podcast now as well, which will be on Spotify, Anchor FM, and all the kind of places you can find your podcast. So welcome along, and I hope everyone's well. Hope everyone's staying warm in this very cold weather. This week I am joined by Alex Bailey, who is an indie folk singer-songwriter and someone I know quite well from quite a few years ago on the music scene, as it were. So hello, Alex. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good, man. Yeah, I'm staying warm in the cold weather. Apparently, it's like -6 tonight or something. So,
Oh, really?
something like that. Yeah, I went out earlier and I was like, it's very, very cold. So yeah,
It's
just
cold.
trying to stay warm, stay sane during this time. How are you anyway?
I'm good. I'm in South East London, and we went for a walk earlier, and there was lots of the pond was frozen. There was lots of seagulls stood on the pond, which was quite nice. They look really confused because they're like, "Oh, this is weird." Because it doesn't really happen in the UK, I suppose, very often. But
No, and in London, like it never really it doesn't really ever get that cold, does it? So it's kind of
no,
unusual.
especially South London, it's like a microclimate down there. It's like always. I swear, I've never, because obviously it was 40 degrees all around the country last year, but ever since I've
Yeah,
moved to South London, it just seems to summers seem to be twice as hot. But
yeah, man. Yeah, I remember that day when it was about 40 degrees. It was. I was in London actually that day. Yeah, it was baking. But
as well.
and how is the kind of how is the lockdown thing going with like music and stuff for you? Is it tricky or is it
It's
been okay?
it's been okay because obviously I work mainly teaching guitar at a school, so that's
Mm,
fine. And then my private work's fine. Music, obviously, gigs wise, I haven't done much. But I'm writing and just trying to keep busy and do as much as I can. It is hard. It's a hard situation, especially
yeah,
I really feel for all the venues that I was playing at quite a lot, like the Finsbury. You might have played there,
yeah.
close to
I've played
Finsbury.
there. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
good venue. And then it's just hard. I mean, I was looking at what the venues that I used to play at are doing, and it's just really hard for them. They're doing sort of live stream shows and stuff like that, but it's difficult.
Yeah, I know. I've seen a few of the live stream shows, and it it's hard, isn't it? Yeah, because it's a great thing to do to get the artists in the venue, but it must be weird. I always think it must be really weird for the artist in the venue
Yeah,
as well, like playing to a completely empty room, apart from
yeah,
a couple of like I don't know sound engineers or something.
it is hard, isn't it? And especially when you do Zoom gigs or anything like that.
Mm,
Because I've got some coming up, and I was wondering what you do. Do you like? Did the audience mute themselves? Because obviously you
yeah.
can't talk over each other, can you?
Yeah, so the ones I've done on Zoom, I did one for like a boat, which where we were meant to be not for a boat, but for people on a boat, and we were meant to be on this canal boat, me and another artist, but they had like a moderator who muted everyone in between when we were playing, basically, so that people weren't like shouting over the music or like dropping like glasses and stuff.
Yeah,
But yeah, that was. I think it's quite easy to do as well yourself. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but yeah, luckily we had this moderator who was doing it for us.
yeah. So they could unmute, then everyone could do their
Yeah,
1 minute clap and then mute back.
yeah. Actually, that's quite a nice part of it. Having the clapping, because yeah, like when you do like just a live stream, you just see people's comments, don't you? But on
Yeah,
those, you actually hear the clapping, so
yeah.
it's a little bit more like you know a little bit
Okay.
more like being at a gig. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I did a couple of live streams at the start, and then I kind of lost momentum towards the summer. I think after it sort of got a bit elongated, um,
yeah.
because I thought, oh, it's only going to be a couple of months, and then we were into June, and then I was like, oh, I'll start writing, and and just hibernate a little bit.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I found exactly the same thing. I stopped live streaming in about, I don't know, July or something, and then I started again briefly during that November lockdown, which was like about a month, wasn't it? And since then, I've just kind of like, I've given up really doing the live streams at the moment. I'm doing exactly the same kind of hibernating away and kind of doing music really. But as it is 1.1 song, what drink have you got today? What are you drinking?
I'm on the finest Irish nectar that there is, a Guinness.
Oh yes, I do love a Guinness. I do love a Guinness.
Yeah. So obviously the rugby's on, so I got a couple of Guinnesses in for the weekend and was watching Scotland beat England, which was amazing. But then Ireland, my mum and dad. Have you met my mum and dad? I'm not sure if you have.
I think I might have met your mum at the Bishop Stortford Acoustic Club.
Yeah,
Once
yeah.
when I think because you were doing the headline, I came down then.
Oh, right, yeah.
I
I think,
think yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's where we used to see each other quite a lot. You used to play. That was your home ground, pretty much, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It was funny because I got into, I got into music promotion for a few years, and I did some venues in London. But yeah, Bishop Stortford Acoustic Club was kind of like the gig I would do all the time, and then I started running gigs like monthly at the Half Moon because they used to give me like free like hire of the venue as long as I brought in enough people. So I was like, it's not that hard to fill that venue. So
No.
I was like, yeah, sure. So I ended up being like a promoter there, which I never intended to be. I just wanted to play gigs really.
Yeah.
So I just used to put all my favourite artists on the bill, and then I'd play a gig as well, which was quite cool. But yeah. So I think I first met you there, and then I definitely met you down in the studio. I think I was going to Dave's studio down in Rayners Lane, and I think you were working in next door or something like that.
Yes, I had the little cubby holders.
Yeah,
Big one.
yeah,
It was a weird time, that whole studio period, because obviously me and Dave were just like hemorrhaging money the whole time we had it.
yeah,
And like really, it was quite stressful. Well, I mean, it was definitely way more stressful for him, but he's actually managed. He still has it, I think,
yeah,
and now he rents it out, which was definitely the way to do it. But like having the overheads of a studio in London and then trying to fill it every week and was hard. And I was like doing guitar teaching during the week and then going to the studio and then doing like 2 days of recording. So you're just like, oh, I'm just working all the time now to do this.
yeah.
But obviously Dave was in the whole time. I wish I kind of just like committed to sort of, in hindsight, I think it's just commit to just being in there the whole time, because it maybe could have made it a bit work rather than doing another job to facilitate it, which probably didn't make much sense. But then again, the phone wasn't ringing off the hook, so
Yeah, I did like that studio. It was nice.
it was good.
I can't remember what I recorded there, but maybe it was like 2 or 3 songs or something like that. But yeah, it was really, really nice. So you've got a new EP out, haven't you? I believe.
Yes, new EP came out on Friday called Skipping Stones. A little 4 tracks. So it's lots of songs we've been working on in lockdown, and a couple that I sort of started before. And some of the subject matter sort of resonates with the sort of lockdown period, but I tried to make it a bit more uplifting. But some people say it's not as uplifting. But it's getting quite a good reaction, so I'm pretty happy with how people are receiving it. So that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. And tell us about the song, the title track.
So Skipping Stones it started off as a rough demo, and I wanted to do a track that was completely focused on falsetto because I love Bon Iver, and there's a band called Whitney, who also is an indie folk band from America, LA, which is all falsetto vocal, double tracked as well, which is I did do in the chorus, but I didn't do in the whole song. Just to push my voice a little bit. And I kept it really simple as well, and I really wanted to sort of show off my voice a bit more, because some of the feedback I've been getting from people was that, you know, the guitar parts were good and stuff like that, but sometimes the vocal melodies are a bit secondary, so I really wanted to showcase my voice as much as possible. And I've always sung a bit of falsetto, and obviously because I did a bit of like classical singing in the choir when I was younger, I
Oh
feel like
right,
I've
yeah,
got
yeah,
that in my locker. But yeah, I think it came out pretty well. It's hard to do falsetto tracks. I think it's a bit of a shock for everyone when it
yeah,
comes out because, and especially when you sing it live, I think that's even more of a shock. If everything else is in your chest voice,
yeah.
and people suddenly start going against their register as well. Because you've got some falsetto bits in legs, is it right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, yeah, legs goes into falsetto quite a bit, and yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because when I was listening to that to your song there, I noticed that it was in falsetto, and then there's a part in it later on where you use like a different voicing,
Yeah, chest
and
voice. Yeah.
I really thought that was really cool, like how that the contrast between the two, it is cool, and but yeah, like you say, when you do falsetto live, sometimes it makes people like get up and
Yeah.
like go, whoa, you know.
Yeah. Was that famous like Liam Gallagher quote? Oh no, Noel Gallagher quote where like Liam, because obviously Live Forever at the end of it's got that really nice falsetto, like Live
Yeah.
Forever, and then Liam goes falsetto. Sorry, there's a bit of a delay I can hear back in my headphones. So it's making me like freak out a little bit.
Oh, really? Yeah.
That's fine. So Liam goes up into falsetto, and he refused to do it live because he said it was really like camp, basically. And then Noel would have to do the falsetto, and it's just I think there's a bit of a stigma, which obviously has gone away a little bit because of like Bon Iver and Whitney recently. But I mean, falsetto, you didn't really hear many male singers singing falsetto in the 90s and 80s. I mean, a bit. Obviously, the Bee Gees are the big masters, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I think it's interesting because yeah, I go into falsetto a little bit, but I've never really like started a song in falsetto as well.
Yeah.
Is that tricky to do live? Like when you first start?
It went because obviously I've only had to do it in the studio,
Yeah.
but I've been rehearsing it now for live streams that are coming up. It is tricky, and I think the other thing about it is it's the kind of voice that you definitely want a ton of reverb on.
Yeah.
And when you're doing these live streams, it's often really dry. But I think I'm just going to sort of embrace the sort of fragility of it. I think, and then you've got to think about it like that.
And I love the fragility of it. That's what I love about falsetto, really. And
yeah, well, that's what I love about as well. Yeah.
people often say, and they probably say it to you as well. They often say that they like to hear like when my voice is like on the edge, you know.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And actually, I quite enjoy it as well. It makes you feel a bit more kind of like alive, doesn't it? You know, like if you're pushing it to where it can go.
I think the other thing as well, like the male voice and the female voice, is sort of two completely different things as well. I think what people forget, and a female voice is always going to cut through the mix a bit better because it's just got that higher frequency range.
Yeah.
But then a male voice, obviously, you've got your chest voice, and then like my breaks around, getting a bit nerdy here, but like F above middle C, and then I go into the falsetto. But that sort of there's a bit of a grey area where it's actually really hard to sing to hit. So that F I can sing, but then there's a couple of notes after that I can't really. It's too low for my falsetto and too high for my chest voice.
Yeah.
And that's what my old singing teacher used to get me to work on, the bridge and stuff like that. But,
yeah. That's interesting you say that. Yeah, I find that point as well. Like when I'm normally when I'm doing like I don't know like a cover or something, I often find it difficult to pitch like exactly where I want to sing it. I end up going through like 4 or 5 different keys and then coming back to the one I started on. But and if I'm doing a song with like a female vocalist, I sometimes forget how different the voices are. So like it might be good in my key, but for them it might not be great. So yeah, it's interesting.
I did a covers gig once, and the female vocalist didn't know. We had a cover female vocalist, and she didn't know that Shaka Khan tune. Why does Ain't Nobody?
Yeah,
so I was like, oh, I'll do it. It was like the worst decision of my life. Like singing Shaka Khan in Shaka Khan's key. It was just.
Oh my god.
It was a bit of like it was getting to the end of the set, like end of the gig, and I was like, let's just get over and done with. Like, I'll do it. So like absolutely murdered Shaka Khan.
Wow. completely off the cuff as well, just kind of like,
Yeah,
oh,
I
let's
mean,
give it a go.
yeah, I vaguely knew the lyrics and stuff like that, so just give it a go, get the gig over and done with.
Yeah, yeah, it's one of those moments where I've had it before, where you start a cover and you go, I haven't played for ages, and I start it and I go, oh dear, I can't remember how this goes, or like, I'm no good at this, I should have remembered, I can't do this. But
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I
no,
know that, and you don't at all.
yeah, no, it's
That's,
funny.
do you find as a musician that people just expect you to know everything as well?
Yeah,
Especially you, because you're like the master of like these sort of. You do a lot of those gigs and stuff like that. People come up and
yeah,
give you requests, I imagine, quite a lot.
they do. When I'm doing the piano bar kind of stuff, because I used to play a lot of piano bars in London when they existed, when they were kind of still there. And yeah, the more drinks people have, that they just kind of expect that you're a jukebox, like a human jukebox, and
Yes.
no matter what style you've been playing in, they'll throw something at you which is like completely unrelated to what you've been doing, and they do look genuinely shocked when you turn around and go, no, I don't know that, or I've heard of it but I can't play it, and they go, what? Why not? You're a musician.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, it doesn't work like that, you know. You just like don't have encyclopedic. You just become a musician having encyclopedic knowledge of music. But those, I always like. I take my hat off to because James Sayer, don't you?
Yeah, I know James.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna get him on here soon, hopefully.
yeah. He's. I mean, he is the man at
Oh
piano,
yeah.
and his stuff sounds great. But like, I just find that kind of gig must be so hard because you've got how many songs do you get through in a night doing that?
Oh, so many, so many. Probably I would say, because sometimes, I mean, the gigs James used to play at the piano bar in Waterloo, I think it was, they used to play for hours, man. They were like, I was so in awe of that, because I was like, I can't play for that long. Like the gigs I do maybe are like 2 hours, but sometimes they were playing for like 3 or 4 hours. So, I mean, I could probably get through, I don't know, about 50 songs or something, I
Yeah.
suppose.
And they're like rotating the set every time and stuff like that, aren't they? And like,
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons he doesn't do so many of those anymore, because it's just too knackering. You're like,
yeah,
but yeah, I did one last year out of after lockdown, which I hadn't played a gig for so long, like a proper gig, and I ended up doing one of those piano gigs for someone's wedding down in Bristol, and I'd forgotten how mentally challenging it is to remember all those songs and do them like off the cuff like that. And I got back from the gig and I was like, oh my, I'm absolutely knackered, because I'd forgotten. Just when you get in the rhythm of it, you kind of okay, but after you haven't done it for like 6 months, it's like a real shock to the system. But
do you have to practice before you go do those gigs and stuff like that?
what I tend to do
No.
is not really, but what I tend to do is pick out 3 or 4 of the songs which are a right pain to play, which I think will come up. So I just kind of like try them just in case like they come up. Most of the others I can kind of busk a little bit. But yeah, the gigs normally are the practice for those really. But yeah, if I haven't done it for a while, I tend to. But yeah, so I think we're gonna get a few comments. I can see a few coming in here. What we'll do is we'll probably do the comments at the end of the show. So for anyone
Okay.
listening on audio afterwards, we are out live at the moment, so we will get comments from people. I'll put a few up to start with. Usman Asif, can you say my name? Apparently, this this one's quite a good one. This is what we were talking about a minute ago. Really, doing live streams where the song just ends with no audience to react is just like, okay, cheers. It so is that kind of feeling, and you end up kind of like saying thank you. I find
Yeah.
like
Thank you.
to
Yeah.
to
So
no one.
no. And you sort of pause, and then you're like, oh,
Yeah, it's so like that, and yeah, just a few people saying hello. So hello,
nice.
thank you for being here. Hello, Lucy. What I'll do is I'll just bring these comments as we go, and then if there's any like pertinent questions at the end, I'll ask them, kind of thing. So I don't know, should we play the song before we
Yeah.
talk about it? We might as well play it,
Yeah.
and then we'll kind of like go in a little bit further into it. But I should be able to just bring it up here, which it should be prepared somewhere in my vast. Hopefully, I'll put the right song on. Yeah, here we go.
That's it.
This is the one.
Skipping stones, staying out alone. Fill up the air with your kiss. Skipping line, staying in instead. If you come around, there is nothing to say. Do I need this? Bring me down. Do I need this? Bring me down. Do I need this? Bring me down. Bring me down. Spinning big old tractor wheel, driving down the cold summer day, and I feel this way to pass beyond the words we say. Do I need this? Bring me down. Do I need this? Bring me down. Do I need this? Bring me down. Bringing me down. 'Cause I can't leave this alone. I can't leave this alone. I can't leave this alone. Do I? Do I? Do I? Need this? Bringing me down. Bringing me down. Bringing me down.
Ah,
Awesome, man.
I'm just reading those nice comments. That's so nice.
There's some really nice comments coming in, which is brilliant. Falsetto sounds great from Stephen McLaughlin, and great tone, Alex, mate. Suits your voice, very natural. That's really nice, isn't it?
Oh, thanks.
I think it sounds great. Like that, I love the contrast between. I think I said earlier, I love the contrast between the falsetto in the start and the verses, and then that kind of like middle section where you come in. It's like I think that's really powerful. Like, and it's kind of a switch around to what sometimes people do, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, it is a switch around. And I think what I think about falsetto, I just think about all those early videos of Bon Iver when he first came out. Like the first time he plays like Skinny Love or like Jules Holland, I was just like, mate, this is insane. Because no one was doing it. No one had the balls to like just be like guitar, weird tuning, big like burly sort of Americana guy singing like a girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
and it's just like everyone goes, that's amazing. That's amazing. Just like it's just like because it was just so different at the time, you know, and that's what sort of like propelled him to like, you know, superstardom straight away, basically, wasn't it? Everyone was completely obsessed with that album in the folk sort of genre.
Yeah.
And that sort of really stuck with me. And I was always singing a bit of falsetto and stuff like that. I don't know, it sort of came easy to me. And I like it. I think it's like what they used to say in the Christian religion as well, because obviously there was the castrati men who were like men who had the, you know, basically their gonads chopped off so they could sing, so they could sing the female high parts, and they would just stay in the high register their entire life because they're, you know, you wouldn't go through puberty like that.
Yeah.
And then you can say it was the voice closest to God. And I think like there is something about it that's very sort of like puts you out there in front of everyone. Like it's like there's nothing, it's a bit freeing. I don't know, it's a really weird to say it. What's like that?
Yeah, the voice closest to God. I really like that. That's brilliant. That's really cool. And
I didn't say that, but that's what they used to do. I think it's because they had to cut their genitalia off. They're like, well, at least you're gonna sing. God's gonna like it.
yeah,
It's a hard sell, isn't it?
yeah. And no, you're right. Yeah, because if it does put you kind of right out there, kind of it's quite exposed, but it's kind of, I like that, and it's cool. And did you say like lyrically, like is that a song you'd say is inspired by the lockdown? Because you've got a lyric in there, I think, is it "Do I Need This Bringing Me Down" kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean that's the chorus. I think I wrote it a little bit before that, but I think it's basically about just like putting too much pressure on yourself to like do stuff. And I think especially like being a musician and during this period as well, like, you know, there's always like a pressure to be like, oh, this guy's doing loads of stuff. I need to be doing this. I need to be doing this. I need to be like super proactive all the time.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, I think I'm pretty bad for like actually like putting a lot of pressure on myself and just like just try and enjoy the ride a little bit. Otherwise, you just like you just end up having the pressure and not enjoying what you're actually doing at all. I think
absolutely. And we were chatting a bit before we came on about like all the stuff that you have to do kind of behind the scenes and everything when you're putting things out. And I feel like sometimes, yeah, you can get bogged down in all the things that you think you should be doing, or, you know, you think, like you say, other people are doing, and, you know, and actually it's sometimes nice to just enjoy the music, isn't it? And put something out like that, which is it's a lovely song. And I guess I would normally ask kind of like how has it differed from the studio version to playing live, but I'm imagining that it's been pretty impossible to play that live.
Yeah, I mean, it has been impossible. Obviously, when I do it live, it's just going to be me and an acoustic. I've been working quite hard on it to get the sort of the lifts and the drops, because realistically, it's actually quite stripped back compared to what I normally do. It's like a C chord. It's like, you know, you box standard first position chords, but I also really like that style of writing, sort of really simplified. You kind of, you know, the kind of songs where you pick it out from a songbook and it's just like a good song no matter where you play it on the guitar. They're just good songs. Like, you know, the Beatles songs would be good examples of that. And then the Whitney and Bon Iver songs as well, you know, I mentioned before, I think are really good examples of that. Just really stripped back.
It made me think of Bon Iver, funnily enough, as I was listening to it. Like I like to do kind of, before I come on, I kind of go on a bit of a kind of like listening spree of all this kind of stuff. And yeah, it made me think of Bon Iver, like that song when it came on, which I love as well. So it's brilliant. And where would you say that song was written? Was it in London kind of thing?
Yeah, I remember when it was written. One day I have like a couple of morning, and then I go out and teach, and I was writing all day, and I was like, because, you know, you're a songwriter as well, you know, it's like how many songs actually get out there compared to how many songs you actually write. It's like, I'm like,
it's crazy.
I mean, it's crazy. So I was writing all day, and I wasn't really getting anywhere. And the other thing I think is I'm really bad at just like not pressing record. So I'll be like, oh, that's not good. Don't even bother recording it. But that, you should never not record stuff, I think, because you can always go back to it later and then make a decision. So I was just like, okay, I've got like 10 minutes to go. I'm just going to put the record on, and I whacked a bit of reverb on and just put the mic on, and I just sort of like basically did some chords, and I was like, okay, sort of did the
Yeah.
vocal, and then the chorus just came out straight away, and I was like, oh, that's quite good. That's quite good. And then I went back to it, and then it was obviously the next bit was like 4 months of like tearing it apart,
Yeah.
deciding
Oh,
what works, and as you do. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it came out, and I think it was because that was pre-lockdown. But then I suppose I finished off the lyrics during the lockdown, and I was kind of like feeling like it was probably summer by then, and everyone was like, "Oh, this is getting a bit tiresome." You know what I mean? I
yeah.
think so. That was the sentiment that I was trying to echo, and I didn't really want to. There are lockdown songs, you know, people like releasing albums called like Isolation, and
Yeah.
you know, I think that's a bit like, or like I don't see anyone anymore kind of album. I think that's a
Yeah.
bit too like in your face, maybe, because everyone knows that. So maybe just
Yeah.
something's a bit more veiled. But even though it's pretty obvious what it's about, I suppose. But you know, it's not as in the face as saying social distancing.
The hands, face, space like remix kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think the lyrics in that do really fit the timing and the feeling, and I feel like it's a really good time to release it as well. Like, I feel like we've gone through a period of quite a long time where, like you say, there has been the lockdown albums. I mean, Taylor Swift seems to have released like 2 albums or something, I think, during this time.
mate, she will never miss a trick. Don't
Yeah,
worry. If there's a lockdown, let Taylor Swift in the studio pumping them out. Don't worry about it.
yeah, she'll be there. She'll be doing it.
Businesswoman Taylor Swift.
And but yeah, I kind of feel like now, like, and that's why I'm enjoying doing these podcasts, because I feel like a lot of songwriters I know are now like putting stuff out there again, like stuff's starting to happen and come out again, which is quite exciting, because it kind of felt like a bit like Groundhog Day for a while back there last year, with not too much coming out. But so do you tend to write on guitar mainly, or because I know you play piano as well, don't you? And
I do play piano, but actually, I find it. Me and Dave have had conversations with this Dave Gerard, who you know quite well.
yep,
Find it quite hard to write on piano. I have written a couple of piano numbers, but I haven't actually released any of them yet. But I think I'm going to try maybe do some stuff next. But I tend to write on guitar.
yeah,
And actually, yeah, I do try and keep it quite simple. There's another guy I really like called Andy Schauf, and he's obviously like a really good guitarist, but like he just plays guitar like incredibly quietly, and it's all like really muted. And you just like, you know that he's got it all in the locker, but he never
Yeah.
lets it out. There's something like on the, you're like, is he gonna? Oh no, sort of on the precipice. But so I kind of like that. And just getting back to the songwriting basics, because I think, you know, the other thing I was thinking about the other day was, you know, attaching songs to moments, and like how, you know, songs aren't just songs. You think
Yeah.
about like they've just done a new video for Bob Marley's Redemption song, and like loads of the kids that I teach really love that song. And like what he's singing about, it's not just a song, is it? It's like completely attached to that period in time. It's attached to
Absolutely.
like so many things in, you know, Jamaican culture, and it's just, and I that's something I think it becomes increasingly harder to do and attach yourself to the older you get. I don't know if this is something you've maybe thought about as well.
Yeah.
Like to be part of like a visceral sort of young movement. And, you know, I think like I don't know, it's when you sort of like get mortgages involved and things like that. It just seems a bit like you're on starting to get away from that side of thing. I don't know. Is that something you've thought about at all?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, because I kind of feel myself kind of moving more towards just the songwriting rather than being involved in any kind of, you know, scene. I guess we've both been involved in a scene or a few
Yeah.
scenes like during our time, and yeah, I kind of feel now is like I'm kind of moving away from any kind of scene really, and just writing the songs and then seeing where they fit a bit more.
It's hard to have a scene at the moment. to be
Yeah,
fair.
it is. Yeah, there is like a non-existent scene at the moment, and but yeah, no, I completely understand that, and this is a kind of a question which I quite enjoy, and I don't know if there's an answer which anyone can always give, but do do you write in the evening or the morning, or are you kind of like a sit down and write all day kind of writer?
I treat it. I try and treat it very sort of job wise. So I'll
Yeah.
write the. I have Wednesdays where I write and focus, and then obviously when I was doing writing for other things like commercial stuff, I do it on that day as well. So 4 days teaching, like long days teaching as well.
Yeah.
And then Wednesdays I have off to sort of do my own thing. Although the teaching is actually starting to creep into that day as well. Inevitably happens. But yeah, I get up and I just start writing, and it's like, I mean, people sort of romanticize it, but I think I think people who do well at it and do it seriously, like yourself and other people, some other people we know, it's like a job. You get up and you just churn them out as quickly as you can, and yeah, so that's I'm a morning person. I tend not to play in the evening. I tend to sort of just like hang out with the fiance.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
Wind down and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like it's a bit like that for me as well. Like I used to be a writer that wrote a lot at night, but it's become more of a day thing now as well. I still do stuff in the evening, but yeah, I've seen it more as a day thing as time's gone on, and especially lyric writing. Actually, like I find lyric writing, like if I go somewhere, like I often
ooh,
go to like a cafe or a park, or somewhere like different. Do you find it? Do you find it helps to change scene? Obviously, at the moment, it's very difficult to change
yeah,
scene.
that's actually really good advice. 'Cause lyrics is the thing where I definitely fall down on. Like, I think I'm good at getting the melodies out, and my arranging's okay.
Yeah,
Having a knowledge of the piano, I think, is like such a big help for that. But lyrics, I
yeah,
always struggle with. I don't often write lyrics away from. So sometimes I'll write stuff on the train, just note some stuff down on the phone and stuff like that. But I use a lot of voice memos and
oh yeah.
yeah, voice memos is the way forward.
I think every songwriter always says that I hear interviewed. Like, if you looked at my phone, I've got like thousands and thousands of voice memos, just kind of like.
Well, I think everyone should do it. If you've got an idea, like if it's like a sketch or just like, oh, that's a good idea, I'll just record myself or like write it down. I think there's people that don't like, everyone has ideas. Everyone's like sitting there going, oh, that's a good idea. And then there's the people who write them down, and there's the people who don't. And I think like
Yeah,
composers and songwriters and writers are people that sort of write that stuff down and go, okay, there's something in that. I'm going to push it a little bit and go with it. But
absolutely, yeah. Because I'm always scared that I'm going to lose that idea if I don't write it down.
yeah, yeah. So these songwriting in parks and stuff, do you find that when you go to a park, does that inspire you to sort of write about characters you see, or does it just put you in a different sort of frame of mind when you do that kind of thing?
Yeah, like it's definitely useful to kind of put me in a different space, like to find somewhere else that I can kind of like take inspiration from rather than just my normal kind of place. But yeah, absolutely, like the characters, and I was speaking to MG Bolter last week, and he
Oh,
writes a lot. You might know him as well, actually. He writes a lot as he's kind of like on the train and going around like different towns and cities and things. And yeah, and we were talking about definitely kind of like observing kind of people, even if it's just someone walking their dog in the park. It can help sometimes, and sometimes it just jogs something in my mind, just to change scene a bit. And the
yeah.
cafes are good, actually. Cafes are good for seeing people and stuff.
That's where J.K. Rowling, she wrote the whole like the first Harry Potter in the cafe, didn't she? But
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, it's
yeah,
interesting, isn't it? Like,
I would just love to go to a cafe at the moment.
oh, I know. Like, oh man, it's been hard actually, because yeah, for lockdown, it's taken away. Okay, parks are still there, but you can't. I mean, it's a bit cold to go and sit in the park for more than about half an hour. But yeah, it's taken away those kind of places, and I used to go to like, write lyrics in pubs sometimes, like in London especially, like
Yeah,
those like old pubs which are really quiet in the day, so there'll be like one person in there,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it can sometimes be really nice just because you've got complete peace and quiet. But apart from like some guy at the bar, drinking like a pint of ale or something. Um, packet of pork scratchings and
They're
stuff.
always
But
there. They're always there.
they always, yeah.
Where are all those people now?
Oh,
That's a good question, isn't it? Like, where are all
oh
the
yeah,
people that are like always in the pub?
yeah.
Like, I mean, what are they doing with their lives? You
I
know?
I do worry about them a little bit because you do kind of, they become like an institution in that pub, don't they?
Yeah,
And you think, oh, they're never not going to be there, like, and
yeah,
they've had a whole year almost of probably not being there.
yeah. It's probably like part like they maybe don't have. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm sure some of them don't, but like have people at home. But
Yeah,
the pubs, like going to the pubs, like a good social thing to do,
yeah,
and maybe they like a drink as well.
yeah. And it is a kind of a social hub, isn't it? And I
Yeah,
think, but as well, like you're probably missing gigs and stuff. The last time I saw you play, actually, interestingly, it was a really cool gig. It was in the Servant Jazz Courts, I
Seven
think.
Jasper, yeah, that
Yeah,
was
with
Jamie Lost Dinosaur.
Last Dinosaur and Jack in Water, I think, were
Yeah,
playing.
Will, yeah,
Amazing lineup, and I remember that. I remember seeing that lineup, and I messaged you, and I was like, I'm definitely going to try and come to this because I know what it's like. Like musicians always go, yeah, I'm going to come to this gig or
yeah,
whatever, and I'm going to try and make it. But I was like, I've got to come to that gig, and it was superb. But I miss those kind of places at the
yeah,
moment because all the people I know in the music scene go to those kind of gigs, and it's
yeah.
missing seeing people like that, really, I suppose.
Yeah, I feel really guilty. I was always a bit bad for going to people's gigs. I remember seeing you in the half moon quite a lot and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a good gig. And Jamie and Will, like super supportive, lovely guy. Do you know them?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I know Will and I know Jamie a little bit.
yeah. They were both really, when I was putting the album together, they were really supportive. And I met up with Will, I don't know if it was before or after lockdown, because he was asking me about some stuff on the album. But he's obviously, you know, got that incredible voice.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
love hearing those guys play. It's a good. I mean, actually, we talk about a scene that was. It's a good little scene. Like there's lots of good guys. There's Dan Lumley as well.
yeah. Dan Lumley, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and obviously Bella. Really talented musicians around that area. Dean, I spoke to Dean Austin like for the first time in ages the other
Oh
day.
wow, yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't seen Dean for ages. Yeah,
yeah. But yeah, I love Jamie and I love Will, and they're doing incredibly well at the moment. Will's been really proactive during lockdown as well, and then Jamie obviously put the new Last Dinosaur album out, which is really good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I've seen a lot of stuff that Will's been doing, and I love it. Like whatever they put out, it's always amazing, and no, it's really good to see. And yeah, it is a good scene. I like it, and I suppose this moves on quite well. I don't know if you do much kind of co-writing, but if you could co-write with anyone right now, who would that be?
I'd happily co-write with you. I think we could write some
Yeah,
good stuff. That'd be good.
I think so. There'd be a merge of influences which should work. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be really good. Who would I love to write with? Is it Alive or Dead or
Let
Alive?
Let's say alive. Yeah.
Right, with people.
Yeah.
Um, who would I like to write with? I mean, I like writing with Dave. Obviously, he's very good. And I write. Have you heard of Leish?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I love his lyric writing, and I'm doing bits and pieces with him. So that's who I am writing with. But
That's
if anyone, but I really like. I love new Fleet Foxes albums. So I'd love
That's
to
great,
write.
isn't it? Yeah.
And I love Daniel Rosen from Grizzly Bear. Do you remember him? The guitarist in Grizzly Bear.
I remember Grizzly Bear. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to love all their stuff. Angel Olsen. I love to write for some female vocalists as well. Actually, maybe do something that's not fronted by me. Might be doing that's maybe in the summer actually. Because do you write other genres as well, not just the genre that you do?
Well, sometimes like I've got a few songs which I'm interesting you say about female vocalists because I like working with female vocalists because I really like the kind of distinction between the voices and different places I think I can take the music. But yeah, I've written a few songs which are like I would say more kind of don't know, classical kind of showy kind of music,
Oh,
which I think will work better with female vocalists. So I've got a couple of songs which I'm going to try and pitch to people.
oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, they're kind of like more old fashioned, kind of like yeah, like showy kind of songs. But that generally I don't normally write out of the genre really I'm in. No, so
Like, I quite like to do like a Basement Jacks style project.
oh yeah, yeah,
So Jamie Fallon's the singer in my band. I did a couple of tracks with her, which
Yeah.
actually sound pretty good, I have to say. But
yeah. She's really cool actually. I like
yeah,
her voice.
she's got a great voice. She used to
Yeah,
be, have her own thing going on as well. So that was good.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, yeah, it's cool. But yeah, I think collaboration I'm going to do a lot more of this year than I've done recently. So
yeah, it's definitely a good thing to do during lockdown.
definitely, man. Okay, we've got a few questions. I think I've lost count a little bit of the comments, so sorry to people that are commenting. I don't know if we've seen this one. I think we have. That's good. Irvan says hello. Hello, Irvan.
Hello, Evan.
And this is my mum actually. Claire, who has been the biggest influence for your music? Good question, actually. Yeah.
Ooh, the biggest influence. So I would say my influences are rooted in the folk genre. I
Yeah.
love 60s folk. So David Graham,
Mm.
Jackson C. Frank, Nick Drake, John Martin. I love all those guys. And then Jose Gonzalez was big influence on my guitar playing when he came out with that song that was on the Sony Bravia advert many years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah,
Me
yeah.
and my mate Jack were absolutely obsessed with Jose Gonzalez. I remember that was like one of the first gigs. He just passed his license and we drove up to Cambridge to go watch him at the Corn Exchange.
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
Just like, man, just the whole like band is just in its guitar playing, which is just, I love. And then John Martin and Nick Drake are like, exponents anyway. So that 60s modern crossover is what I try and go for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like Nick Drake's often described as like a great kind of exponent of the atmospheric kind of songwriting, and your songs capture that as well. Like there's always, I love that word atmosphere in recording. I just think without it, sometimes you've got a good song, but if it's got that atmosphere which you manage to create, it takes it to another level for me. Like
just chucking the reverb on it.
yeah. And I think it was Dave actually who taught me about putting atmosphere in my songs, because normally I'd just have like the song and then I'd see what happened, and then just throwing like reverb and a few bits and pieces of weird instruments sometimes helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally. Space, letting the chords, not playing and then playing and stuff like that. I think I really like, I listen to Legs, and that's like very kind of Americana-y. It's got that really nice big drum sort of feel and stuff like that. It's good.
Yeah. That was one of the songs which came out really well from the album. I was well pleased with that one. And
yeah, it's a good track. Check it out.
Yeah, cheers. Yeah. But no, and I suppose that we've got about 10 minutes left, so that kind of like leads on quite nicely to talking about the cover which you presented. So basically, for anyone listening who doesn't know, this is 1 pint, 1 song. So we have a pint, we talk about one song which Alex has written, and then we talk about a cover. But actually, just before we talk about the cover, because I've forgotten about this, but there's a song on the EP, and I'm really terrible with Roman numerals. Which Henry is it about again? Is it Henry the
V?
Henry V, that was it. I saw it pop up earlier, and just quickly tell us about that song, because I'm always fascinated to hear about songs written about kind of like historical figures and characters. Yeah.
Well, so I don't want to give it away, but I watched the film. There's a good film called The King on Netflix, and then I did a bit more reading into it. Henry V obviously won the Battle of Agincourt.
Yeah.
And that song's is about that, but I think he was quite reluctant. It's a bit like, it's part of that age. I think this is like the Shakespeare story of Henry V, where he was like quite a reluctant king And then he became king. He was like the best king ever, and he won like the big battle. And then he died in obscurity, which is the backbone for a lot of like stories, like, you know, the Game of Thrones and all that stuff kind of based on it. And the sort of idea of this reluctant hero is like perpetuated from Shakespeare's Henry V. So I read that a bit around the bit of it, and then it was sort of feeding into sort of like, oh, myself being, what was I kind of going for? Like, do I really want the things that maybe I was trying to do instead? Although I do love doing music and stuff like that. But I think maybe when I was getting a bit more, there was a lot of pressure on. Like maybe 2 years ago, there was gigs. Like, I mean, I'm really super appreciative of the gigs that I was getting, but there was certainly an element of like, oh, I am like under pressure, and there was a lot of organized, because people, especially when you're a solo artist, it's different for bands. There's no one to load with. There's no one to like go, okay, you do this, you do that. So you have to like organize the people that you're going to be in your band, pay them all, get them all to the gig, make sure they're well off rehearsed and stuff like that, and then you like get all your mates down. It's like it was like another full-time job on top of playing, and especially when you're where I was, or where I basically still am, it's just like on you know, I wouldn't even say I'm on the cusp anymore, but like there was a bit of hype, you know what I mean? But I kind of proved myself to the label, so I think there's a little bit about that. Being like, oh my god, this is a lot of pressure, and relating that to being Henry V, but not really. But there's a direct quote from Shakespeare's like, the youth of England is on fire for the king's desire, which is just, I mean, wow, Shakespeare at his best. It's really,
that's great.
No, chuck that in there because no one does it better than Shakespeare.
Exactly. Old Will. No one does it better than old William Shakespeare. Definitely. No, that's amazing. That's really cool, and I completely relate to the whole kind of solo musician thing. Like, you know, I've running a band and doing a tour or whatever, and doing gigs and getting people down, and I kind of felt like I became like a manager, like as well as the artist. And
especially when you don't have a manager. I'm not saying that it is amazing, and I do love doing it, but like I think it was just it was quite intense, and it all happened a bit quick, rather and I kind of feel like, I don't know, it's hard, isn't it, with music? It's hard with being a band because you get a bit of hype. You know, you've done like UK tours and stuff like that. Oh my god, it's going so well. It's just going like, and then you know, you come off the back end of that, and you're like, oh my god, what the hell do I do?
What am I doing now?
You're like, and it's like, and then you expect. This is the other thing that I have to like temper myself, is like, if you have a bit of success, you expect success the next time round. So every song release, I'm like comparing it to the last song. Did it do as well? Did it do as well? And then people say, oh, I like that song, but I don't really like this song. You're like, fuck you. A little bit. But like, it's just like, it's hard, isn't it? And everyone's, and it's music. It's not, no one owes you anything, and everyone's up to their opinions. But you just gotta, I think, and this is the whole thing that I'm trying to keep reminding myself, and with the EP, the overarching message, that I'm just like, you know, enjoy it for what it is. It's just music. You like doing music, and that's why you do it. You know, that's the best thing to remember, I think.
And it's okay. I think I love that. It's like it's okay to just enjoy the music, I think, and I'm certainly enjoying listening to it, and it does lead us on quite nicely. So tell us, you obviously are a big fan of Nick Drake, as am I, and tell us about the song which you've chosen of his. You actually covered it, didn't you?
Yeah, I did cover it. It's Riverman. It's like one of my favourite songs. It reminds me of Much Haddam, actually, for some reason.
Much Haddam. Wow.
Because I used to live in Much Haddam, and it's just like, Betty came by on her way. It's like that really sort of posh English accent that he sings in, which is like how everyone speaks in Much Haddam. It kind of sounds like someone knocking on next door's house, which I remember like my mum just like dragging us around next door neighbours and having cups of tea with everyone when we were toddlers. And it just really reminds me of that sort of like very villagey, because obviously he was in Cambridge when he wrote it, but like Englishy, villagey sort of feel. But yeah, I love it. I mean, and the instrumentation's great. It's in 5/4.
Yeah.
It's taken me years to be able to sing and play it, like absolute years. I've been working on it for. I'm always like, oh, I'll sit down and play it, and then never been able to sing over the top of it. But
Yeah.
now I've finally got it. I think it's one of those ones that looks deceptively simple to play because it's just 4 chords that cycle round. But to sing over the top of it because the groove's like
Yeah.
it's really hard to sort of do that and sing on the top, I think.
Yeah, so I think it's a really interesting song, and yeah, I really like the version actually. It's really cool, and obviously Nick Drake, he's just great, isn't he? And you know, with a long list of like other songwriters that we could list, but yeah, I'm glad you chose that one. So I guess before we go, so what we're going to do, we're just going to play your cover out of Riverman as we go out, basically. So where can obviously people can find your EP, which is out now, I think.
Yes, it's out now on Spotify. I haven't got hard copies because I think that's. Do you still get hard copies and stuff? Like,
I did with my album, but I don't know if I'm going to bother again in the future
yeah.
because
So Spotify, Tidal, all good streaming services. Bandcamp, if you want to support me and buy it, Bandcamp's always I love Bandcamp. They do those amazing like no
oh,
fee
Fridays,
no fee
yeah,
Fridays. So if you
yeah.
want to buy it on one of those, you get all the money. Some people, I get a little bit of stuff on Bandcamp, but yeah, any good streaming service, and I hope everyone likes it. And thanks so much for having me down, Elliot, as well.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for coming along, man. I'm really enjoying doing these because I just get to chat to people, have a beer, and like talk about all the great music that's happening, and it's really cool. So thank you to everyone that's listening. Thank you to everyone that's commented, and hello to everyone that's going to listen on the audio podcast afterwards. I'll be back next week with another episode, and I'll be announcing who I will be joining me probably at the end of this week. So for now, thanks, Alex. Thanks for coming on, and we're going to play your Nick Drake cover here. So here we go.
Lady came by on her way, said she had a word to say. Things the days far away. Said she had